Welcome back to the show. Archaeologists have uncovered part of a rare Egyptian Sphinx in northern Israel.
That's right. It's a rather unusual discovery inside the Holy Land. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell shows us how experts believe it ended up there.
These are the feet of an ancient Egyptian Sphinx found recently at Tel Hazor, an archaeological site in northern Israel.
The Egyptologists assume that this Sphinx originally stood in a temple in Egypt before it was taken from there and sent to Hazor.
The feet weigh about 100 pounds. They're the only part of a statue ever found anywhere of the pyramid-building pharaoh, King Men-kau-re. The Sphinx probably originated in the ancient city of Heliopolis, not far from modern Cairo. But how did it get to Israel? Dr. Sharon Zuckerman co-directs the excavation at Hazor. She believes the statue stood in Egypt for 1,000 years before being shipped to Hazor as a diplomatic gift to the Canaanites.
We see the cartouche within which the royal names of Egyptian kings are usually written. This is his name, Men-kau-re.
Shlomit Bechar is an area supervisor.
The Sphinx feet were found right here, and we found them in the last hour of the last day, right before we were getting ready to close off the area for the end of the season. And the volunteer that was here found this piece of rock that he thought was very interesting, and I was completely shocked and amazed.
The excavation is staffed mostly by international volunteers.
I don't really have any archaeological experience if I think about it, but this was my graduation present. It's a really cool little area, and I've become attached to it a little bit.
Marissa Figueroa explained her work.
I have a little tiny pick. I have a spade, a brush, and this hefty thing to scoop up soil. So basically, right now I'm trying to expose rock here because we're hoping to find an extension of this area right here.
It's a great combination of working with your hands, which academics don't do a lot of, and I really enjoy. So working with your hands and sort of thinking and discovering.
This is Professor Corey Crawford's second season at the dig.
People always want to ask, what are you looking for? What do you hope to find? And they're thinking, statues and like the Sphinx and stuff like that. But I'm mostly interested in sort of, again, the relationships, the sort of big picture that the walls and the floors and the finds and the pottery tell us.
Hazor was an important Canaanite city under Egyptian rule until Israelites conquered the land. The Bible says Joshua took Hazor and struck its king, and all the people who were in it with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. Then he burned Hazor with fire.
You see all this black material? Yeah. This is the destruction level, and if you look behind you, you can see this burnt wooden beam. It's huge.
Archaeologists debate whether or not Joshua was involved, but they can't argue that a massive fire destroyed the city.
We ended up uncovering 2 rows of these huge storage vessels that are characteristic of Hazor at the late Bronze Age. They were leaning against both this wall and this wall as well, and they were filled with burnt grain material. Some of the bricks were burnt in such a high temperature that they were vitrified. They turned into glass.
Archaeologist ben-tor has been involved in excavations here for nearly 50 years.
You know that there is a huge debate going on in the world nowadays with regard to the reliability of biblical historiography. How reliable is it? Is it exactly so? Is it all figment of somebody's imagination? And insofar as I am concerned, what we can see here tallies very, very nicely with biblical historiography, including the destruction of Canaanite Hazor.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Tel Hazor, Israel.